Welcome everyone to the fourth session of Preparing for a Successful Year. Today, Mountain West Financial's Chief Information Security Officer, Kurt Gasnaga, will present cybersecurity threats for 2017. We will have a chance to ask questions at the very end with an email address.
Hello everyone, my name is Kurt Gasnaga and welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness. I'm the VP Information Services and Chief Information Security Officer, like Angela said. So today we're going to talk about different types of hackers, types of techniques these hackers use, and how to protect yourself from them. I'll also talk about what cybersecurity threats we may see this year. All right, so who's behind cyber attacks? Well, they're cyber criminals. They're in it for the money. On average, they make about $80,000 a month and age as young as 15 years old. They're insider threats. This doesn't necessarily mean disgruntled employees wanting to get back at their company. And it can also be normal employees who want to be helpful and ends up giving away sensitive data to the wrong person. There's also hacktivists. Hacktivism is when hackers break into government or corporate computer systems as an act of protest. They use hacking to increase awareness of their social or political agendas as well as themselves. Cyber terrorists. They're individuals with a wide range of skills motivated by religious or political beliefs to create fear of large-scale disruption of computer networks. And finally, state-sponsored hackers. State-sponsored hackers are individuals employed by the government to penetrate and gain top-secret information and to damage information systems of other governments. So let's talk about some of the hacking techniques used. Phishing. Many of you have probably heard of this more and more as the years pass by. Phishing emails, what they do is they attempt to obtain sensitive information such as usernames, passwords, and credit card details, often for malicious reasons. They do this by disguising as a trustworthy entity in an email. So what does a phishing email message look like? Here's an example of what a phishing scam in an email message might look like. Spelling and bad grammar. Cyber criminals are not known for their grammar and spelling. Professional organizations usually have a staff of copy editors that will not allow a mass email like this to go out to its users. So if you notice mistakes in an email, it might be a scam. Beware of links in an email. If you see a link in a suspicious email message, do not click on it. So you can check by resting your mouse, but not clicking on the link to see if the address matches the link that was typed in the message. And you can see an example at the bottom, towards the bottom right of your screen. If you put your mouse over the link, this shows a string of cryptic numbers, which is nothing like the company's web address. Threats. So have you ever received a threat that your account would be closed if you didn't respond to an email message? The email message shown above is an example of the same trick. Cyber criminals often use threats that your security has been compromised. And towards the bottom, what they'll do is they'll spoof popular websites or companies. Scam artists use graphics in emails that appear to be connected to legitimate websites, but actually take you to a phony scam site or legitimate looking pop-up window. Cyber criminals also use web addresses that resemble the names of well-known companies, but are slightly altered. So if your company is a .com and you have not purchased .co or .info, I would highly recommend that you do so, because someone that wants to attack your business will go ahead and register a domain with the .co at the end, and they can easily send the emails that are not really from your company, they're from somewhere else, and they would be more susceptible to clicking on links in emails. So here's another example of a phishing email. This one appears to be coming from FedEx. Some of the things that you want to ask yourself before clicking on this email is, is there a delivery that I sent out? Most likely not. If you did, was it sent through Freight International Services? Probably not. So what they try to do is catch people when they're busy doing other things and they're not thinking about cybersecurity. This is why you always have to have this in mind. And if you can see below, if you put your mouse over the button, it shows again that it came from Freight International Services. So this is something definitely you would delete, or if you have an IT department, you would send it over to your IT department to take a look at. Here's another example of a phishing email. As you can see, the from section, it's coming from a .nz. That is New Zealand, so most likely you're not doing business in New Zealand. So again, this is something you would delete or report to your IT department. And again, below, where you see access now the link, if you put your mouse over it, if you look at the link that it's going to, it's a .tr. Nope, I would delete it. Now let's talk about another type of phishing. This is called spear phishing. So in spear phishing, what the hacker does is they study your company, your business, and they go to social media websites. They'll go to your company's, your business website, and if you have information regarding who the owners are, who your county department manager is, and they do more research and they find out what their emails are, what they'll do is they'll spoof that email from, for example, from the owner, and send it to the accounting manager, and they'll personalize the email. The accounting manager will receive it, and they think it's from the owner. And what they'll do is, if there's a link or an attachment, they'll go ahead and open it, and you've just given the hacker access to your network. It's as easy as that. And another technique used by hackers is ransomware. Again, this is something you probably heard more and more. It's come out in the news, especially with hospitals and police departments, where hackers have been able to get someone to click on an email link, and what it does is it encrypts all their files, and most likely they'll end up paying the ransom. So let's talk about some of the types of ransomware there are. There's locker ransomware and crypto ransomware. The locker ransomware prevents the victim from using the system by locking components for all of the system, so they can't access their computer at all. The crypto ransomware, what that does is it targets the data and file systems on the device itself, and so the computer is functional except for the ability to access the encrypted files. And as far as percentage between the both, I would say about 65% of the ransomware that people are seeing are crypto. They're the type that encrypts files on their systems. There's another type of ransomware called mobile ransomware. We're seeing an entirely different trend in the mobile world, where ransomware targets Android devices almost exclusively. And this is why a lot of companies do not allow mobile phones that have been jailbroken onto their network. Because when you jailbreak your phone, you're giving up protection from the store, the Play Store in Android's case, where they go through a process of making sure that the apps are not do not contain malware. So if your mobile phone is jailbroken, you can go to any site and download any app, and that's where you run into the risk of downloading malware and ransomware. Another way that this happens is that in Android, I believe there's a setting that you can go in and say, I don't want to be secure. I want to go ahead and download apps that are not from the Play Store. So I would really recommend not to do that because, again, with ransomware on your mobile phone, you will have to pay in order to access your phone, and it costs some grief there for you. So let's talk about how to avoid ransomware. If you would want to make sure you have a firewall, the router that is usually given to you by your internet service provider is not something I recommend having at all. I mean, you can have that, but you want to make sure you have a firewall as well. You want to make sure you run up-to-date anti-malware tools, such as Windows Defender and Malwarebytes. But there are many, many others. And just make sure that they're running and up-to-date. Keep your system software up-to-date. This means making sure that you let Windows automatically update itself, as well as any applications that have self-updating capabilities. And last but not least, just use common sense. Don't download random things from the internet, and don't open attachments you aren't completely certain are valid and correct. And here are some ransomware statistics. So ransomware has emerged as one of the most lucrative and popular techniques cybercriminals are using against both businesses and consumers. Cybercriminals are on track to make nearly $1 billion through ransomware. Nearly 40% of all spam emails sent contained ransomware in 2016. Ransomware is effective, but not everyone pays. Yeah, not everyone pays, but if you're in a situation where you do not have you have not backed up your files, and yeah, you most likely will pay. So in 1 month study, 68,000 computers were infected. That's 5,700 per day. The original hackers behind CryptoLocker were thwarted in 2014, but not before hauling in a ransom worth reported $3 million. And since then, CryptoLocker has evolved. A new strain of malware called Locky was recently infecting 90,000 machines per day. Another hacking technique is using a Trojan. Trojan is any malicious computer program which represents itself to appear useful, routine, or interesting in order to persuade a victim to install it. And a specific type of Trojan is a RAT, a remote access Trojan. What this type of Trojan does is they will send it to you via an email. It could be in different forms, so most likely what they do is they try to send it to you via email. Excuse me. You click on the link, and within seconds, you've given access, 100% access to the hacker. And now I want to show you, I'm going to give you a demonstration of this, of a RAT, remote access Trojan, and how it works. And I'm just going to switch over here to my laptop. Just give me 1 second. All right. So here at the top is what the hacker would see on their screen. They're in Russia, China, wherever they are, and they're just waiting for a next victim. They send a link, a malicious executable, and they go ahead and open it up. And they're just waiting for it to open, to do something. Nothing's happening. and they're just waiting and waiting, and nothing happens. Well, they say, oh, well, nothing happened. Let me get back to work. Well, you just gave access, as you can see up here, to the hacker in Russia, China, wherever. You're giving them 100% access to your computer. What that hacker can do now is browse through all your files. They can look at any file on your system. They can transfer files to their local computer. They can run files and execute them on your computer. They can have remote access to your computer, and they can actually look at your camera and turn it on and watch what you're doing. They can also turn on your microphone. This is something they'll probably do if a competitor hires a hacker and they target a specific person in the company and they want to listen in on what they're saying, and they can easily just turn on their microphone and record and listen to everything that they're saying. They can get passwords. So you're going about your day, you try to open up that link and nothing happened. Well, again, all you need to do is just pop the screen open, and they'll be recording all your credentials to your bank accounts, to your emails, and then they'll be able to hack into your bank account, pretty much. And they can also, record all your keystrokes, and so very scary stuff here. This is how fast this is what it takes for them to have access to your computer. This is just one method out of hundreds of techniques that they use. And as you can see, it was just a matter of seconds before they were able to access your computer. You can say, yeah, well, I have antivirus and it's up to date. That is something that helps prevent it, but it's not 100%. Antivirus will catch the more common malware that's out there, but if someone really wants to get into your computer, they will do it. They will find a zero-day vulnerability, which is pretty much a vulnerability that the antivirus companies do not know about, and they will go in undetected. So let me switch over back to...
Kurt, I have a question.
Sure.
So most people think that if they just delete that little icon, it'll go away.
Exactly.
But that's not likely correct. They still can see it, and the user doesn't have any way to see that individual is looking at their system.
There's no way that they'll know. And the way I set up that particular Trojan is I told it to, once they open it, it will execute every time they reboot their computer, and they will not know about it.
Gotcha.
So there are many tricks that they use. Sometimes just by double clicking on the icon, and they will make it so a message comes up saying, error, could not open.
Sure.
But that's something that the hacker put in there to trick the person to think that it didn't run, but it really did run in the back. All right, so how can you defend against Trojans? Protect your computer with strong security software. Make sure it's up to date. Again, these are things that are very repetitive. It's just making sure you have security software in your computer and it's up to date. That's the main thing. A lot of people have the antivirus on their computer and they don't even bother checking to make sure it's up to date with the most recent definitions. Your security software should update at least 3 times a day because of all the new viruses that are out, that come out on a daily basis. You want to enable automatic Windows updates or download Microsoft updates on a regular basis to make sure your operating system is patched, and then use extreme caution when opening attachments. Be certain a website is legitimate before you go there. Another technique is called fake WAP. That stands for fake wireless access point. Hackers use this tactic to easily steal the data of unsuspecting wireless users in public places, such as coffee shops or the airport. The hacker will perform what is called evil twinning. This is where a fake access point with the same name as the real access point is created. And usually the antenna that the hacker is using will transmit a powerful signal. In turn, the victim will be most likely to choose that wireless access point. So again, on your screen, you can see a perfect example. So you're at the airport. When you're flying, you take advantage of the free Wi-Fi, but there are multiple networks to join. You choose the one with the best connection. That's what everyone does, right? You're unaware that it's a rogue Wi-Fi network created by a hacker. And once you're connected, the hacker steals your sensitive information. So very easy to do. And one of the things that I recommend that you do to stay safe and protect yourself, if you really want to use public Wi-Fi, is to download some type of a VPN app on your mobile phone. It stands for Virtual Private Network. Again, do your research and read the reviews, or just do your research, Google, and make sure you get the right one, the best one. But this is the only way you're going to be protected. And I highly recommend not to use it unless you really need it. Again, remember you have your mobile phones that you can use as hotspots. That's more secure than just using free public Wi-Fi. So what are some of the biggest cybersecurity threats that are going to happen in 2017? So 2017 will be the year of increasingly creative hacks. Not that we haven't already seen them, but they will be more and more creative. Currently, cybercriminal hackers are 5 years ahead of cybersecurity professionals. Cybercriminals follow the money trail, and this is the reason ransomware has grown significantly over the past couple of years. These attacks are cheap to operate, and many organizations are not applying proper defenses against this threat. I've seen ransomware as a service in the underground web. And this is where any amateur can pay for a service to attack whoever they want anonymously. And yes, it comes with tech support. It's amazing what they're coming up with. Internal threats will increase. I have seen more and more lucrative offers in the underground web to employees of organizations to sell them their network credentials. These hackers, their main targets are disgruntled employees. Business security spending will increase. We'll see an increase in video surveillance in private businesses. Security conversations will not only be about data security and network, but also physical security. Social engineering, which is another hacking technique we didn't talk about, includes criminals pretending to be a delivery person or other professional, a vendor, to make their way into an office and steal data or plant malware, but that's what they do. So one last thing I want to leave you guys with is that so you can spend hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars purchasing equipment, software to protect your network, but the most valuable thing that you can do is to train your employees and make them aware of what is out there, because they're pretty much, I call them here the human firewall. Your network is only as secure as your weakest link. So if you have to make sure you try to find out who that weak link is with your employees and make sure you train them until they get it. Don't think that this is not going to happen to you. A lot of these hackers are targeting smaller businesses. Why? Because they don't have the money to purchase all the equipment, or they don't train their employees as much as these large companies. So they don't want to waste their time with larger companies. Not that they don't do it, but the trend is now moving towards small and medium-sized businesses. So one thing I recommend, again, is just make sure you train your employees,
as much as you can. And that's it. So thank you again for joining me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email is below there. And thank you again.